How's everyone doing? Lisa is from Fictionary, who is hosting this after party. Lisa, I don't know if we've got anybody here who may not be aware of who Fictionary is, but you might want to let them know.
Yeah, I'll just, for a few of you are joining us again right after the happy hour, so welcome again. So Fictionary, I am a Fictionary Certified Story Coach. I'm happy here to be representing Fictionary, and we're so happy to be sponsoring this amazing conference. And Shannon, thank you so much for everything that you're doing for the writing community. Holy smokes, it's been incredible. I've admitted to Shannon very early that I'm new to all of this, so it's been really exciting to see everything and to hear from everyone as well. Fictionary is a community first, free community on Circle, and you can come and join for free. Please do join us. I will try and get up the information at some point. Once you join that Circle community, we just talk books, we talk writing, we talk editing, because that's our passion. Our passion is story editing and really helping you get your draft to an amazing page turner bestseller. And we do that with some amazing software that was created by Christina Stanley and her husband Matthew, who are the founders of Fictionary. And StoryTeller takes your manuscript and it creates for you your story arc using the story arc scenes. It then gives you can do a scene by scene edit, as well as giving you insights for character insights, plot insights. It's incredible. I think, Shannon, it was you that was mentioning that you found a name that was spelled wrong in somewhere. So it does these crazy things. Like it finds, if you are referring to one of your characters by a different name at some point, it catches that for you. Well, it shows it to you. It doesn't.
Yeah, I transposed 2 letters and I had like L-E or E-L, and it was just at the end of the name, so I didn't even catch it for half of the manuscript.
And then it shows up because that character shows up in all of your scenes suddenly. It's
I mean, like one of the first screens it brings you to when you put your book in and you put your novel in, it brings you to a character list. You say, is this correct? And then you go through your characters and you say, okay, that's a character, that's not a character. Because like if you're talking about like Virginia Slim Cigarettes, it's going to pick Virginia out as a name. So you guys know that's not a character.
Yeah, and Jack Daniels seems to show up in a lot of books. So, and then the other thing that we have in the community, we do free webinars as well. And then we have the software, obviously. And the great thing about that is Fictionary, as well as sponsoring this writing conference, is also giving a month of free Fictionary StoryTeller for you if you're interested in that. And so there's lots of places you could find out about that. And as well, there are free webinars we do on various things. And if you're just interested and you want to know what it's about, pop in on Tuesday because Shane's going to do one. And if you want to see how the editing works live and you're not tired of my voice by then, on Wednesday, I'm doing a live scene edit for one of our community members. And I do that free for a community member just to show them what it's like. And then, the Book of the Year Award. If you're interested in Fictionary and you actually have an unpublished work that you edit in Fictionary, you can put your book forward for the Book of the Year Award.
I was going to ask, does my book count if it's not published until it's on Kickstarter, but it's not going to be fulfilled until like October?
I think you'd have to check the submission. All the submission deadlines are in the community there. Okay. But it's definitely, I know it has to be unpublished. I don't think,
I don't know. It's a different type of platform. I mean, technically, it would be like on pre-order if it was on a platform, which means it's still not published yet.
Yeah. So I don't know the answer to that.
I'll have to look at it. Well, should we write?
But that's a great segue into like checking the submission information is really good. And we're doing a lot of extra sessions on blurbs and skeleton synopsis, and synopsis, because you do have to hand those in with your book. And so on the community, we're doing it for free just to help you if you're interested. That's Fictionary. I've been a Fictionary Certified Story Coach Editor for a full year now, but I've been helping writers for years. And one of the things I'm really loving about doing it this way is just how, I think it was Troy that was mentioning last time, it's really funny how writers will use the tools in different ways. And just like you would use Plotter in a different way, there are lots of things that you can get out of Fictionary. And I was doing some work on mysteries and following the clues and using Fictionary to kind of keep track of where the clues were and who knew them. So
should we let our co-hosts introduce
Oh,
themselves? And
I can't wait until I hear from. I mentioned I've just met Amy, but I saw Nicole's presentation this afternoon, and it's so eye-opening. It's so important, and the information that you were giving about AI and the biases and ethics, I just thought it was great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so I'm Nicole Wolver. I'm a writer on Authortube. I mostly write YA. I'm working on getting very close to the querying stage for a YA action adventure heist book. And yeah, my presentation was a couple of hours ago on AI and creativity. And yeah, a big chunk of it, or a chunk of it anyways, was about sort of the ethics and that we had a great discussion.
at the end, it was a really great discussion. Yeah.
Minutes. It was awesome.
Yeah. And then Amy is presenting. She didn't present today. She's presenting a little bit later. So you want to tell us when you're presenting and what you're talking about?
Yeah. Hi. I am presenting tomorrow. I'm Amy Rosenfeld. I am saying everything completely out of order. And yeah, so I've got tomorrow's presentation. I want to say 7 p.m. Eastern time, but I have a feeling that's wrong because time zones are so weird because I live halfway across the world. But yes, my presentation tomorrow is going to be on video marketing and tips and tricks that you guys can use when doing video stuff, mainly in the social media scape. And then I also write young adult fantasy. I've got my Portal series, Aster's Coda. Thank you, Shannon, for providing the book when I don't even have it within 2 meters of me. Yes. So yeah, that's my book. Thank you, Shannon. It's
6 p.m. Eastern.
6 p.m. There we go. Yeah. Time zones are terrible.
Yeah. And I'd say we were talking about how, this was Lisa's first time. It was in the happy hour, is the first time ever appearing live on a live stream. And then this is her first time hosting. And it's just have it quick. And I was like, yeah, I really practice a lot. And my very first live stream I set up was actually with Amy on it. But I did practice.
Yes, it was.
But yeah, you were on my very first live stream panel.
Yes, that's right.
Yep.
Oh my
gosh. We talked about Authortube and author branding. How do you brand yourself as an author while you're still an Authortube? Authortube, you're speaking to an audience of writers versus readers. And so Amy came in with her knowledge of colors, and she has a lot of very good videos on her channel about that because that's where she got her degree. What was your degree? Can you tell us again what your degree was?
Communications.
But it was something to do with the graphics and communications that you were talking about?
Digital communication. That's what it was. That's the official name of the major. Yeah.
That's where I learned there's websites where you can put a color in and it will give you all the complementary colors to go with it in case you're trying to figure out a color scheme for your website or, whatever. So, yeah. Do you want to let's say hi to everyone in the chat? So I dropped my usual that I like to do where I said, make friends with the like button. And I just loved Troy's response. We met and I like that button. So I just thought that was funny. Fiona, hello. It's nice to see you. I think I've been following her around this conference because we've been on all the same chats together. And Katie, hello, writer SK or KSY. She is a ghostwriter and a urban fantasy. It's fantasy. I've read 2 of her novels and they have vampires, but one was set in an older time setting. So I don't know. Katie, let us know exactly what you classify yourself as. I know it's fantasy. Join the Fictionary community here for free. So you can click on that link there. And Heather, hi, how are you doing? I hope all is well with you. I did get your email this morning, and I can't remember. This is not tonight. You were supposed to join us, right? It was a different night. And then, that's me. I don't need to put me up there. And there's your free month to Fictionary. A link to it. You can click on it and get that free month to try it out. Where to go? I'll find a seat here. Well, welcome. We're happy to have you here. If you guys have any questions for the presenters, especially since we know that Nicole's already presented, if you have any questions about what she said or what she presented, this is a good time to ask her. It's kind of informal. Or if you want to learn more about it, she might have some resources or, where she gets her ideas from. You have a background in that, in your engineering, right?
Yeah, my background's in computer engineering.
Gotcha. Which that was quite a bit played into the presentation. I remember someone say something about numbers or whatever because you put numbers up on the screen and stuff. And like, I can't do numbers or something. I don't remember what they said now, but it was something along those lines.
Math.
There's 8 minutes of math.
Math. Yeah.
8 minutes of very light math.
And that was a great presentation, Nicole, says Troy. I have to go back and find that live stream. It sounds informative on branding. Yeah. Oh, it's on my channel. But Rosenfeld, Amy, I used to be military, if you guys didn't know. Amy has great information in her videos on her channel when it comes to a lot of that branding. So
I should honestly make more videos on that kind of stuff. It's been a while, I think, since I've touched those kinds of topics. But when I did, I really enjoyed talking about them.
Yeah. And Fiona says she weighed back. I've done the same thing, especially, I think because I live stream a lot now because I'm not really on screen anymore, but last year I was on screen a lot live streaming. Now I don't put myself on screen, but I live stream writing sprints. So you don't see me, but I'm there and I talk to the audience on our breaks. But yeah, so there's times when I think I'm for the live stream and there, people who are actually on the live stream and say, bye everyone, I wait back. I've done it so many times. Going off to find Amy's session. There we go.
Yay, see you there.
And
that was on my list too. One of my top for the conference.
For Heather's? Or what?
Amy's session, yeah.
Amy's. Heather's also presenting. She is on Sunday. I don't remember the actual time. It is a pre-recording because I was asked to be part of the panel to talk about representing characters that are not abled well in your stories and stuff. And I think we talked more about like mental conditions more than anything else, because my book that's on Kickstarter, my main character has anxiety. They didn't call it anxiety in an epic fantasy setting, but it is anxiety, and I show her coping mechanisms. And she actually uses numbers, which is, I was thinking that when you were doing all your numbers on screen, I was like, well, my main character likes numbers, and she's constantly adding numbers up in her head just as a coping mechanism. So yeah, I love that. Yep. And that was me. I can't do math. Okay. I don't remember who it was. I don't even remember what it was I said. So yes, Sunday. Okay. So we made it through all the comments. So yeah.
I wonder if anybody, like any of the other sessions, I don't know. I know Amy was saying it was really early for her. Yeah. Were there other sessions that anyone loved, either people that are joining us in the chat or people here, that something that you saw today that you thought was really exciting?
I personally loved having, I saw part of Elaine's discovery writing presentation, and I saw all of Desiree's. I was going to go to Plotters. That was the one I was scheduled to go look at, and then he fell out of the screen. So then I went over to Desiree's, and I got caught up. And I did go back to Plotter, and I went back and forth. But Desiree, I watched quite heavily because her presentation. I mean, she, there's some people I think that have like this like huge like presence when you're around them, and she's like one of these people. Like when she starts talking, you might listen. And so that's how her presentation to me was. Like you went to stop and listen. It's like, oh yes, that's me. So yeah, I found those two presentations really helpful, and I'm a discovery writer, so I think it just connected with me and the type of writer I am. What about you guys?
I wonder how many people are discovery writers even in our chat as well. It'd be really interesting to see whether people are discovery
I have a feeling
writers.
Troy's a plotter. No, I don't know.
He's discovery. Oh, what was it Desiree called hers? Discovery with.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what she said now.
Plan or something?
Yeah. No, that's the title of her presentation too. Discovery writer writing with a plan or something like that. Yeah. Fiona says doing beta readers.
Yeah.
I loved that one too. Yeah, that was really good.
I did too. I like the beta reader one.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to catch up on all these like tonight, just like put them on in the background while I'm doing like chores and stuff for sure. I'm like, I'm like thrilled to see all the stuff.
The Australian version of the Authortube Writing Conference. So you have stuff in your time zone.
I mean, some of it's okay if I can just get myself to wake up early enough, but like a lot of stuff has been tiring for me this week, so I was hoping to catch some earlier, and then I only managed to catch the closing for tonight. Then I feel so embarrassed. I feel like I should not be on here because of how I was not able to commit.
No, I mean, we're not here to like, it's just topic conversations or topic sport conversation.
Yeah.
I'm right there.
I'll wake up earlier tomorrow. I'll make sure I'll be, I mean, of course
Amy
I have to because of my live stream.
Yeah, she's hosting the after party tomorrow. So
I am. Yes.
Yeah. Well, okay, so Troy says, I always like to hear discovery writers talk about stuff, so I want to watch that one. I like to see where other writers are coming from. Yeah. Well, and I think, Fictionary was really helpful for me. Like, you could use it, right? You can write in the platform. That's what I remember when I opened it up and used it. I was already going to use Fictionary for my list of things I was going to try out for this last novel because I was not, I didn't have like a, what's the name of the editor? Developmental editor. I'm tired, guys. I've been up. I've only had a few hours sleep. We're getting late at night. So I thought, okay, I want to try some of these programs. I had Pro Writing Aid already had it bought. So I was like, I would do that one. Fictionary was the next one. Plotter was the next one. That was just going down the list. And then Dale L. Roberts introduced me to Fictionary. And then it just grew from there. But I really liked that you could use it as, depending on how you work. I don't write outlines. So I do reverse outlines. So I write my story and then I do a reverse outline to see if it's meeting the plot points and all that stuff. And I didn't have to sit there and go chapter by chapter and chapter to, read it all through, write it all out. Fictionary just broke it all out right there and had a few places for notes, like what was your opening sentence? What was the opening scene itself? Like, and it gives you like drop down. Sorry, I'm not trying to monopolize this with Fictionary stuff. I just really love the program. Guys, I would not have said yes to the sponsorship if I didn't love it. Yeah. And I think Plotter is kind of the same way. You don't have to be a plotter to use Plotter. It's very good for visualizing for those of us who are discovery writers. So I think this is, when he says he likes to hear discovery writers talk about it, I guess it probably helps them develop the idea more as well for discovery writers in mind. That would be my thought.
That's why it's so great to, I find in the community. Our community is so active and so helpful. And if anybody thinks of something that they think would make the program better or more useful for them, they're very responsive to that as well. And always listening and wanting to find ways to help writers write great stories, because that really is the bottom line. We want as many, one of the things we keep saying is we want as many great books out there because that gives us more great books to read.
But what surprised me, you said you have a really active romance community, and in a lot of romance books, there's dual point of views. Sometimes more if you have, there's a lot of reverse harem that's popular. But like, so when I did, that was the only thing I could say. And I think I said the wrong term, and I said it to Christina, the only thing that I would have wanted, I think I said protagonists or something, and I meant that whatever is the one character, and I saw it later and I can't remember what it was called, but you basically can only set one main point of view, but it's not the point of view. Is it?
So it is the protagonist.
It is the protagonist. I must have said point of view then.
So a protagonist, though, can be an entity. So with Thelma and Louise, which is a combined protagonist in that movie, you actually create a character that's just called Thelma and Louise. And you just treat it like that, and you go through the whole thing, and it still works.
Yeah, but I like seeing the plot, the arc of each, because you have the character arc, and I would want, because my two characters did not change and grow at the same rate, so I wanted to see what those look like, and I couldn't do that because I had to pick one protagonist and then go through and then choose a different one later, just to see it. But it'd be nice to be able to compare it side by side to see, because one of them, he like moved through his positive arc much quicker than she did. And that does often happen, I think, in romance,
And that's one thing that I know they're working on, is maybe not another protagonist, but at least somebody that, so you can have more than one character arc, because some people too would like a character arc for their antagonist.
Yes, that would be nice too. Yes. Yeah. Because actually my antagonist in my first 3 books becomes a protagonist in the 4th book. So it'd be nice to see how much she changes over that time. So Fiona actually has a question. I'm a plotter, so I haven't tried discovery writing. Would you say discovery writing might be a good strategy when plotting myself into a corner? I think it happens even to discovery writers.
And I think that one of the things that was talked about today too, with the using AI to really help you get yourself out of a corner, whatever that corner is, was that, Nicole, was that your presentation?
Oh yeah.
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 What did you say about that? Because I was writing notes, but I'm going to just go back and listen again.
Yeah, no, 100%. I will go with a very specific question. I think the example I used was I had like a mystery and it wasn't connecting, like a subplot, and it wasn't connecting enough to the main like heist plot. It was an issue. So I literally went and I was like, this is the story, like this is the mystery. What are the ways, like list 10 ways this could connect? And then you just kept asking it questions. It was really cool, and it helped me figure out like this cool way of doing a secret code that I hadn't thought of before. It was amazing. But yeah, it can really help, like just kind of because sometimes your mind is like, I find that I will get like in a block almost with my story, and I'm like, I have to have like these 5 things. It has to be like this. And then when you get another perspective, even if it's just like ChatGPT, suddenly you're like, oh, there's possibilities. This like the whole other area of this map that I haven't considered of solutions.
Yeah, and I think that's what Troy was getting at too. So you can do something wild and often reset your muse.
Yes, exactly.
Would Fictionary be helpful even if my full first draft isn't finished yet? And I would say yes, because you can add scenes in there and write directly into it. That's for me from the perspective of using Fictionary. So
yeah, and actually, Christina's working on an outlining session and books to help, so you could outline directly into Fictionary as well, for those of you that are plotters. And I've just been doing it myself with a young adult fantasy, and it's amazing how it creates that structure for you right there in Fictionary, because it's already got all of those elements there. And then you can write when you feel inspired to write, or plan when you feel inspired to plan. Sometimes I feel way too inspired to plan, but I'm kind of the opposite of a discovery writer. I am a very, enjoy the plot.
My very first book that I published, I plotted it all the way out, every scene, everything. And I was so bored writing it. It took me a while to write it because I was so bored writing it. And I think later on I figured, well, because I already know the story, what else do I need to do? You know? So I like the discovery writer. I like knowing, I always know what my endings are. So like the series I'm working on right now, I already know how it's going to end. And it's in a universe where I'm going to have more books, and I know what the last series is going to do, and I know how that series is going to end. So I always know my endings. And I think that helps for me as a discovery writer. That helps because I don't mind if the story doesn't go where I think it's going to go, as long as it still gets to the same place at the end.
And that's why Fictionary is so cool too, because Fictionary can help you take out the stuff that doesn't need to be there. Because as a discovery writer, you're going to write everything down, I think.
You're going to have a lot of stuff that you don't end up using. What were you saying, Nicole?
I was just going to say, I'm a huge planner too, but for me, I always, somewhere, I don't know, around the 50% mark, I always just kind of go off and then just like discovery write for a good 30% of it, and then come back and then at the end.
Troy says central viewpoint character is another way to look at it. For that, I think for that one, choosing that one protagonist. Yeah, I think that's what he meant it for. I'll have to try that with ChatGPT, see if it helps. Yeah, it does come up with some interesting stuff, but I always like to push it further, because I always say whatever idea you come up with for your characters, you want to come up with the next idea and the next idea after that, because whatever first idea you come up with, your readers are going to know. So if you want to keep them on their toes, you think, well, what else could happen, and what else could happen after that? Before all this, what could I actually do that's 3 steps further than what my readers will think? I don't know if that made any sense. It didn't make sense to me.
It does. It does.
Okay.
It's the same for mystery, isn't it? Because you have to really think through, and you want to keep people on their toes, but you still want to give them enough that they don't feel like they're ripped off at the end.
And I would say, Troy says Fictionary may replace Scrivener for me at some point. Because there's not a way to export it the way you can do in Scrivener, where you can export documents and stuff for publication. But I would say, because Scrivener has gotten so less intuitive to use it as time has gone on, and Fictionary is very intuitive. It walks you through step by step. You're like, oh. And there was only one time I got confused, but it didn't take me very long to figure out where I need to go, and it wasn't that hard where I couldn't remember it for the next time. So.
And there's the little question marks. I love the little question marks. So if you forget something, it's
always right there.
Question mark, and it tells you what it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
And in some of those question marks, when you click on it, it gives you more information. It will sometimes link to a video that they've put together, so you can go watch the video. Like, oh, that's what that means. So yeah, it was very, very helpful for me. Scrivener is not. It's just gotten too. I can't say the word. If you guys didn't know, I'm partially tone deaf, so I don't always hear everything. That's why sometimes I'll say, "Can you say again?" or whatever. And then that also means I can't hear the sounds in my head, so I don't know how to say them. Unwieldy becomes too much. We'll go the easy route. And I have a love-hate relationship with Scrivener, but a plot or Fictionary combo might be the answer to that. Oh, are we making a marriage here between two?
I agree, Troy.
Me too, Troy. I'm using Scrivener right now and have started playing with Plotter. I plan to go back and watch your presentation after this. Yes, it was a very good presentation. There's parts that I miss. Kind of happens, I think, when you're an organizer, you kind of go around from place to place, make sure everything's running smoothly. So I caught some of it and I was like, oh, I didn't know I could do that too. I always learn something new about Plotter every time I hear them talk about it, whatever podcast. And they've been on several different podcasts, which, by the way, Troy, do you know Dale L. Roberts? You should get to know Dale L. Roberts, because I think you guys would be a good, I don't know if you have this spot, but I think it would be good to bring you on his channel and talk about stuff. Do you guys know Dale L. Roberts? You know who I'm talking about?
No.
Oh.
I'm going to look it up.
Sounds familiar.
He was the keynote speaker of the Authortube Writing Conference last year. So it was in my head. The Authortube Writing Conference came in my head 2 Novembers ago. I won a free ticket. That one was in the right place at the right time to the 20 Books of 50K conference 2 Novembers ago.
Okay.
But after I priced the flight, the hotel, because it was within 2 weeks of it happening, I was going to be spending like $1,500 for everything. And our dog, she ended up dying, but we spent like $3,000 trying to keep her alive. And I was like, I can't spend this money. And then it hit my head. What could we do for free that would benefit the community and the speakers? Well, the speakers are speaking on their channel, so they're bringing community to their channel and hopefully growing. And it's free for everybody else. And so that's where it was in my head for like 2 months. And I met Dale, and we met for a 15-minute chat where he was just like, telling me things of how to grow on YouTube, because at the time I think I had maybe 100 subscribers. And then he talked about, strategies for publishing and things like that. It was really cool. And I was like, I don't mean to pitch you, but I've been having this idea. And this was December 2 years ago. And I was like, I don't have anything written up. This is what I do. I plan everything in my head and then I write it. And so remember, we were talking about visual outlines in a couple of different, I talked about visual outline. It was in Desiree's. I talked about how I visually outline things in my head for my stories. And then I pitched Dale, and he's like, well, write something up and send it to me. And so I did. And he's the first person that heard about the idea. And then I thought, this is big. I need a partner. And that's when I brought on Jenna O'Malley last year, but she's a teacher, and she got like overloaded with classes. So she had to pull out, and I asked Margaret if she could step in. And so Dale was our keynote speaker. He's got a couple different channels. His biggest one, I don't know what it's up to now, 50 or 60,000 subscribers, maybe more. But that's where he's got all his sponsorship deals and everything. So like all his stuff is geared towards sponsorships and things. And then he's got a smaller channel that he live streams every Monday. It's at 5:15 my time, and that's Central Time. And he always brings up the latest things that are happening in the self-publishing industry. So it's always nice to get that info every week. So, but he has a lot of people on his channel. He brought Christina from Fictionary. He did that interview a little while ago, so that he does it in the future, right? So he did that interview, and it just came out on his channel, I think 2 weeks ago. So, yeah. Okay, sorry. I can talk a lot.
No, that was good. Plus, it's good information. I want to follow up on that. Sounds really interesting.
For sure.
Throw rocks at your character, see what happens. Let's say you torture your characters, you'll get something out of it. But I write fantasy, so there's torture scenes of fantasy. So if you write something else, you might not have that.
The one joke I constantly make is how I am so evil to my characters. I give them their good moments, but then of course I give them their worst moments as well.
It would be awful to be a fictional character. It would be horrible, because the whole point is to have a horrible, horrible life.
Yeah, give them their worst day. All their worst days imaginable.
Maybe that's why cozy fantasy novels have like boosted in popularity lately. Because it's like they're not having horrible days. They're just making a fantasy coffee shop.
Oh my goodness, that sounds like Sims or whatever that game was.
Yeah, Troy did second that the Scrivener is kind of an older system. And if Fictionary had the export function, he'd be writing in it already.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but we should meet. I know who he is. Watch one of his videos recently. Yeah. He's really good on screen. Oh, 85K. So I haven't been keeping up with his big channel. I'm a moderator now on his smaller channel. So I'm over there most of the time moderating his live streams. So, but yeah, 85K. Wow. He's grown. He was around 50 or 60K, not last time I checked, but that must have been a while ago. My farm on Facebook was quite pleasant. Yeah, that says farm. Okay. Was that in reference to what we were talking about, like The Sims and stuff like that? And I made it through all the comments. So, yeah.
So, Amy, are you a discovery writer too?
I have yet to find out what that is, so I'm going to be checking out the playback of that session to find
You've heard
out.
pantser, right? Pantser, the term pantser?
Oh,
yeah, I think that's kind of what I am. Well, at least I'm probably going to be talking about this a bit more in the future on my channel when it came to writing my second book. But I feel like that's a lot where I align, because constantly when I was outlining, I had written scenes. Well, not when I was outlining, when I was drafting. I had taken my outline, then I had written scenes, and then I discovered, like, this scene's useless. This character is useless. Why am I making so many useless things? And then I ended up like stopping part way and then like taking that scene out and then like making fixes to like the previous stuff before continuing. So maybe I might be more like discovery writer oriented. Who knows? Don't mind my angle. I'm just trying to avoid the sunlight so I don't look like a ghost. Pretty soon I'm going to be off screen.
We'll just hear an embodied voice. We'll just embody a voice. So there's also, we brought this up. I think this was in, it was in Desiree's chat when I brought up the term intuitive writer that Becca Syme uses, which I really like that term, because I think what pantser is not really me, because I do kind of do some outlining in my head. And a lot of people don't like the term pantser, especially like Joanna Penn talks about this. She was like, pantser, we don't have pants. Pants is not the same thing as, I'm trying to remember what she said exactly, but pants are not the same thing as what in America, right? We say pants, we wear pants, but that's not the same term over in Europe. So it doesn't really make sense. She talks about discovery writer. I think she calls it discovery writer, I think. And then Becca Syme, she said intuitive writer, which when she has a YouTube channel, by the way, if you want to look up her stuff, and she has a whole series on intuitive writing. And when she described what that was, it made so much sense, and I made my husband feel better, because I would get like to a point where I didn't know what I was going to do, and I go talk it over with him, and he'd give me all these ideas. And after doing this for a couple of years, he's like, I don't think I'm very helpful for you. You never like my ideas. But then Becca Syme says intuitive writers, they know the information. It's in their head. They just don't know how to access it. And so when they talk it out with someone and someone gives them an idea, and it's not what actually in their head that they're trying to access, it helps them bring that information forward. It's kind of like the same idea. Like you put, I don't know if you guys have ever done this, for those of you who are discovery writers, you put something in your book. I'm like, I don't know why I put that in my book, but then later on it makes sense because now you need to use it. Yeah. That's what discovery writers do. And I did that. My very first book, I don't know why I threw in this coin that my character got. And I was like, I don't know how this is, why is this important? I'm gonna have to go back, take it out. And then when I got to my dark night of the soul moment, I was like, how is she going to get out of this? Because I had written something that no longer made sense, in my outline. And then I was like, oh, the coin, she can use the coin. She called the goddess. I had no idea that's where I was going to use it at. I don't know.
I love that idea.
I think I had something similar to that happen, but with an entire character.
I had something similar too, because I had a character and then I just kind of figured out how something related, and it was they were basically my plot twist, and I didn't know it till like the third draft.
I think this was meant for you, Amy. Discovery Curious is what we'll call you.
Sure, yeah.
Intuitive writer does have a nice connotation to it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I loved her whole series on everything she said. I was like, this is me. This is me. This makes sense. I say that discovery writers don't write a first draft. They write a zero draft. Yes. Yes, I write 0 drafts or dirty draft or whatever else you want to call it. They're all called the same thing. The first revision is actually your first draft. No, I throw out the draft and I start again. So I had 5 drafts of this book that I'm just publishing, and it was the 5th draft. And I call it because I started over again. Like I look at the first one, I read it through, I'm like, okay, there's some of this is good, but let's start over. And so when I got to the 5th draft, I'm like, okay, this was the actual draft that's going to make it, but I considered the other ones drafts.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. But my first one was only 28,000 words long, and I wrote it in 2 days because I dictate. So
Whoa.
I don't know for you guys. What do you end up writing when you're sitting down for your first draft? What comes out first for you? Like for me, it's like mostly dialogue. Then I layer in stuff later. What is for you guys?
Definitely mostly dialogue for me.
Oh, you too?
Yeah, I'll do like dialogue for a scene, almost like a little script, and then go back and like fill it in. The interiority, the description, all that.
I think for me, it's more like the structure of what's going into the chapter, because I don't remember what source I found this from, but one thing that I really liked about the advice that I was given was to just treat every chapter, at least with the way that I personally write longer chapters, treat each chapter as its own little 3-act structure. And just starting off with like that 3-act structure in there, like what's the beginning, what's the middle, and how is this going to end, and then like developing it from there, basically. I'm very much that, like, I love my little 3-act structures. I'm like, whoop, whoop, whoop,
I've heard that before as a technique. So, yeah. I do the come late, leave early, which means start the scene as late as you can and leave before it ends. So that's how I do my but my chapters are shorter. They're like 1,500 words usually. But it's interesting. What about you, Lisa?
But that gives you, I was just thinking when you're saying that arrive late, leave early, it really helps with creating great hooks too, though. Just like naturally. I think all writers probably put in hooks naturally, but they're often a little late at the start or a little early at the end. And that kind of solves that problem immediately because you're thinking about it right in your writing that first time. So that's really cool. Yeah, for me, I'm probably more like Amy. I like the structure, but that maybe makes sense too.
And Troy says, I have a friend who's like that and who calls me, never agrees with me, but the talks always get her unstuck. Well, now you can call her just an intuitive writer. You can say, I've got a name for you. And his answer was, mine is dialogue and major plot points with little description. I have to add description later. So yeah, that's what I do. I add my description and interiority, like Nicole was saying. I add that later. I tend to write setting, action, and dialogue, sort of in a brief way, and then I do it and add in the sensory details. Bye, Heather. Thank you for coming. That is called the story circle method. It's a common discovery method. Is that in reference to the 3-act?
I think so.
I think so too.
I am sinking further into discovery curious.
And then Andy, hello. How are you? He's the one that did the presentation on keywords earlier today. And I learned about a lot of new plugins that are free that you can use to find keywords. So, which is always nice if you can do things for free. And Fiona said hi, and Heya. And yes, the 3-act structure method. Okay, so we were in the right track there. The story circle method. It's a common discovery method.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah. Well, we've met our 15-minute quota. I don't know if you want to stay longer.
I think we've surpassed that quota by a fair amount.
We're ways past it.
I think that the keyword thing is really cool. So that's the one thing about hanging out with writers and with editors as well, is that the nerding out on these things it makes you feel comfortable that you're around a bunch of people that don't mind talking about all of this same stuff.
Right, and understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a story structure nerd, so I study this stuff. Well, probably
same,
helpful.
Troy. Same.
Yeah.
100% same.
Love it. when your family asks what you're reading and you're like, it's just about story structuring. Like, didn't you air that like last month on that?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm going to go watch some replays and what I missed today after this.
Good.
Awesome. And Troy says, I can help you identify. Discovery curious. There's your identification.
Yeah.
Well, Lisa, did you want to wrap up or did you want to talk about anything else?
I think that's probably it. We've talked about what hopefully people are interested and curious about heading over to Fictionary and joining us as well. Join, as I said, the community, please. It's free, and we look forward to seeing you there. And try out the free month. If you have any questions and you get into the Fictionary community, just drop me a DM or just put the question out in the community. Everyone is kind. Kindness is our key word. So it's a very safe environment, much like this one. And I can't thank Shannon, Amy, Nicole, and all the presenters today. And I have to say a shout out to Troy, because thank you for keeping us in the conversation. And staying around, all of you that stayed around for the after hours, it's been a lot of fun. And thank you so much. That's it.
All right. And Amy and Nicole, you guys want to do your outros?
Sure.
Which of us is going first?
Let's do Amy. We'll do it that way. So that way I can do mine and then.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Thank you, Lisa, for having me, and thank you, Shannon and Nicole, for doing this all with me. You can check me out tomorrow at 6. I already forgot the time. 6 p.m. Eastern. For probably you can find, if you're not sure on the time, you can just find me on my channel, Amy Rosenfeld. My social medias at Amy Ryder Rose, and yeah. I'm excited to talk a video with you guys tomorrow. Yay.
Yay.
Yeah, thanks so much, Lisa and Shannon and Amy. You can find me. My YouTube channel is Nicole Wilbur. My video live from today is obviously up there. Always look at the comments if there's any questions. And if you're interested in checking out more of my content, I do a lot of kind of story structure, craft book review kind of videos. So might be interested to some people chatting. And yeah, thank you so much. This is so fun.
And my name is Shannon. I write under pen name of S.D. Houston. I do have a brand new book out and available for pre-purchase on basically Kickstarter. And it's called A Curse of Scales and Feathers. It is a romantic fantasy romance, not romantic fantasy. It's fantasy romance. It is romance first with a very heavy fantasy element. And it's got dragons and love and magic and shifters. And I change that up every time I say it. Love for you guys to check it out. Please check out our sponsor, Fictionary. I absolutely love the program. I'm glad that I was able to get a chance to use it and meet with the actual company and find out more about it. So, Lisa, you have any parting words, or you want to just end it there?
I think we can end it. Thank you so much. And I will try and be at Amy's after hours tomorrow night.
Oh, shoot. We get like 30 seconds because I uploaded the wrong outro in this one because it doesn't have you guys on there. I thought I uploaded the right one, and I just realized it doesn't.
Hello, everyone. How's everyone?
Yes, thank you so much for hanging out. It is processing. It usually takes like 20 or 30 seconds before it processes. There it goes. All right, bye, everyone.
Bye.